Hey guys, my name's Josh, also known as CherryDrank on the Discord and Twitter subreddit. Um, did a video last week on Arlington Million, be breaking down kind of a race. I figured I would slow down a little bit, talk through a little bit more a past performance, a little bit more, I guess, basic, even slow down a little more. I did see a couple people on the subreddit asking for help on how to read a past performance, what to do. So I figured I would kind of break this down even slower. This is a Brisnet Ultimate PP. It's what I tend to use most. It's what I started with. Um, Pack just put a video up going through Formulator, which is a DRF product. Um, I'm using Brisnet. That's what I'm comfortable with. There's also Timeform US. There's Stats Race Lens Equibase. There's a bunch of other products out there. Try them all out. For the most part, they're pretty cheap. If you're just gonna hit one card or one day, it's gonna be $2-3. Find out what you like. Then you can look into getting a subscription to a place, or like these Brisnets. I play on Twinspires. I get them free with my play from Twinspires. Some of the other sites, they'll give you a free product if you play there. So we could maybe break down ADWs at another point if enough people are interested in seeing the differences. Mostly for beginners. I mean, if you have any experience betting, you already know the differences. But we're looking at an Ultimate PP here with the race summary and comments. I think these cost $3 from Brisnet, but like I said, make a wager on Twinspires, you get it for free. So if you watch my last video, you know I love these race summaries. I start here because it gives you kind of like a high level view of the race. If you're using the Brisnets, you get a lot of information. So we'll start at the top. Obviously the product there, but track we're looking at, which is Mountaineer, runs Sunday through Wednesday. They run on the off days, so if you're looking for some action at night, they run Sunday through Wednesday night. You'll see us on a Discord firing away here. You'll see that this F means it's a filly race. Optional claiming 15,000, non-winners of 1 with some type of condition. We'll look at the condition in more detail above. 7.5 furlongs on the turf, 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Date, which is today, the 12th. This is race 3, and then you got your pars here. So it looks like for the most part, this is generally a more speed favoring. E1 and E2 are the early speed figures. E1 is pretty much like, hey, right out the gate, and E2 is like, what are we looking at? I believe it's at second call. If you look at Brisnet, they'll explain it a little bit better. But this is just early speed, like earliest of early speeds, and this is just kind of like, hey, where we're going to be at second call. And then late, what's our come home? What's our late pace looking like? Speed, 78 Brisnet figure tends to win. Is usually good enough to win this race. We have some stats here for this race type. So once again, here are the conditions between 7 and 7.5 furlongs. Looks like 10 races have been run this meet at that distance. 30% of the time the favorites win. They're in the money 70%. $2 Roy, so that means we're getting back $1.38 for every $2 bet. Average of 8 horses, median win payout, which is actually pretty decent. Winners less than 5 to 1, 70%, so it's pretty chalky, but it's also pretty in line with what most races are. You get some bias stats, and then you have this race summary, which kind of breaks down on a high level. What is this race? You have all your horses here, and they are listed by speed, average speed at this distance and surface. So on average, the 5 at this distance and surface is running an 87 Briz speed figure. There's wild differences between the different speed figures. Brisnets tend to be very mathematical. Computer creates them. No one adjusts them. Buyers have a human element to it. Time Form US has a pace, is also human element, but it's more towards pace. Like if it's a hot pace and a speed horse fades a little bit, but still kind of hangs on a little bit, they tend to get actually higher speed figures than like closers that close into a favorable pace scenario. So we have the horse number. We have the horse name, Walking Princess here. Money line or morning line odds 2-1. Equipment L, which means they have Lasix. You'll see B here too for blinkers. It's been 22 days since it last ran. It's a E run style. I did toss another. There is an article I wrote, kind of breaking down the run styles a little bit. If you're interested, E means it's an early type, which means it needs the lead. PTS, which means is the speed points of 8, which is the highest. It goes from 0 to 8. So this is a horse that is gunning for the lead. And then you have their average distance and surface of their early pace figures, late pace, and their speed. So if we look up here, once again at our part, 91, 91, 79, 78, 99, 97, 81, 87. Obviously, this horse is like fits to a T. What is going to happen here? This horse is 2-1 here. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes off at like even money or less, just because of how well this horse fits. Not even looking at the past performances completely. This horse probably just runs very consistent numbers to have this high of a average race rating. So this horse is running in races that average run 110 on the Briz scale. So it's doing it against slightly worse horses than what the 8's doing, which is like 113. The 7's running in better races at 112, but they're also running significantly worse figures just looking at the averages. We'll go back and we'll break down and look line by line through their past races. Then you have their best numbers, so you can see, hey, at some point this horse ran a 99, 103, 108 on the pace figures. These are dangerous to look at because this is for 3-year-olds and up. This horse could be 9 years old and ran this 7 years ago, 6 years ago. So just be careful with using these best ones. And then final speed. This is just showing their last 4 races. Ran 87 on the turf, 74 on the dirt, 87 on the turf, 84 on the turf. Now, obviously, you don't know distance or anything like that, so use with caution. But at least it gives you an idea, hey, these are the kind of the last 4 speed figures of this horse. Average class level. What is the class of the horse? So how well is it running against the rating of the horses it is? So how classy is the horse? And then the last 3 class ratings there. And then just the speed average. So this horse, on average, without accounts for distance or surface, runs an 83. This one runs an 86. Now, once again, you could have a dirt horse try and turf for the first time. These numbers are going to be skewed, but it's here just so you can take a look. Mud speed, best number the horse has put up in an off track. And then you have some pedigree stats. What percentage of sire hits on the mud? What percentage of sire hits on the turf? The sire's average winning distance. So in this case, this sire of the 5, generally 6.7 furlongs is where his winners are. And this dam sires. So the dam's sire and how they fared with that as well. Finally, down here, we do have a quick breakdown. Hey, speed last race, back speed, which is based off of these speed figures here, or pace figures rather. Current class, so how the class, like where they think the horse kind of is class-wise. Average class last 3, so the average of the class of the other horses that this horse has been racing against. Prime power, which is kind of like the power it's like a power figure. It's like just, hey, let's toss all this stuff together and come up with a number that's going to say how strong this horse is. Um, Brisnet swears this number is very accurate. They have stats on like, hey, if there's a difference of 5 or 8 or what have you, it's got this percentage of a chance to win. I more use this that when I'm looking through horses and I see, hey, I like these horses, I kind of see where they fall. If somehow I'm missing a horse that's got a really astronomical number, I'll take a second pass at it. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to use it. I might still hate the horse. Hey, the prime power can be skewed by a horse that ran 2 years ago, was running great at stakes, and had this long layoff and is coming back. It's going to have a huge prime power number, but it's not really accurate because the horse hasn't run in 2 years. So just keep an eye on that. And then just the early pace figure from last race and the late pace figure from last race. So you can just kind of get, like I said, a quick snapshot of the race just by looking at this. Let's just take a look at one of these horses. So let's start with the horse that's going to be out in the lead, the fastest horse here, E8. This is actually the horse I'm going to bet. I'm guessing the odds are going to be really low, so I think I'm probably going to do kind of an exacta between with the 5 in first and the 3 in second, because I think the 3 will be coming late a little bit. Will be right next to the 5. I think that it's going to be 5 is going to get out to the lead, 3 is going to trail just behind, and it's just going to finish that way. So I'm just going to bet the 5-3 exacta straight, because I'm trying to get some value out of it. The 5 is probably going to go off at even money, or worse. But let's just take a look at the 5's past performances, since I think that is going to be the leader here. We're going to look at the past performance here, right? 5, that is the horse number. If it wasn't a different post, there would be a PP and then a number here. It's a 2-to-1 morning line. Name, E8. We got our pace figure there once again. If you have questions about that, there's a link on the wiki. Owner and the owner silks color and what color hat they're wearing. Jockey, Edgar Palkar, is doing really well, 24% winner. Generally, anything above 15%, I like. These are the meet stats. This is the meet here at Mountaineer. For 2019, he's at 15% for the year, but he's killing it at Mountaineer here. With E-types, so with early speed types, 17%. With the trainer, he's won 33%, so 1 out of the last 3. And on turf, he's doing 20%. So he's doing all right. The jockey fit here, the jockey's not going to be detrimental to us. You'll see the color, dark brown. Mare, so it's an older female horse. 5. You see the sire, the stud fee will be there. The dam sire, breeder, trainer. So this is Michael Baird. He breeds, trains, and owns horses in West Virginia. Did it with this horse as well. And you see trainer stats here. This horse, like I said, this horse looks prime. The trainer looks good. The jockey looks good. It's going to go off favorite. I think he's actually a decent favorite. And of course, after I post this video, we're going to see that this horse probably finishes last. But you see the equipment here, Lasix, and the weight that the horse is carrying. I don't pay much attention to weight. Sometimes you'll see a bug, which is a jockey who's like still an apprentice. He'll be given like 7-8 pounds. Occasionally, I mean, you could use it as a tiebreaker maybe, but even then, for the most part, I just don't even think about the weight. And then you'll just see more stats on the horse here. The stuff down here is more breeding stats, which you can get into, but generally after a horse has run, I don't know, 5 times, the horse is for the most part what it is. Breeding stats at that point, I mean, unless it's doing something brand new, like trying turf for the first time, going long for the first time, I generally just kind of ignore most of the rest of the breeding. You'll see their lifetime stats, 2019, 2018, how they're doing at Mountaineer. And then you'll see by surface. Fast, off, which means like wet dirt, wet, slow, sloppy, slow, or muddy. Distance, how well they do distance, how well they do in a turf, all weather. Those numbers in parentheses next to them are just kind of like Brisnet's breeding number. Um, Not as good as Tomlinson's, which is something that's built into DRFs. Ask Packrat about those. He loves them. They're pretty easy to use. It's usually the higher the number, the better. These numbers, though, they don't tend to vary much. So you'll see a lot of like 100 to 103s. Like, so it's not super helpful. I think the thing that Brisnet says is, hey, if you see, start with the fast number. If it says 103 and you see how turf says 105, if that number is bigger, then generally that horse is bred for that. So that this horse is bred for more of a turf pedigree because its turf number is bigger than the fast number. I don't use these numbers very much. If I'm going to look at some kind of breeding number, I'm going to pull up a DRF and look at Tomlinson's. So you'll see a couple of comments here. It's a 30% trainer, winner of last race, won last race. So positive comments here on the left-hand side. Negative comments will go here on the right. No negative comments on this horse. And then we'll just look at this real quick for date. Date this line was run 21st of July 2019, Mountaineer, race 1. The big T there with the circle is turf. If it's a square with the T, it means inner turf, which is just another turf course. It's just the one on inside. Circle with an X means it's an off. So it was originally planned for the turf, got taken off due to rain. If you see a circle with an A, that's all weather. And if you see nothing, that just means dirt. You'll see the distance. So 7 furlongs here this last race. FM means firm, which is the fastest turf gets. You get firm, then you get good, then you get yielding, and then you get soft. We don't really run on soft here in the U.S., and we rarely run on yielding, so usually you're going to see firm and good. And then you're going to have the splits here for the horse. So depending on the distance, usually this is going to be the first quarter, unless it's a longer race. 23 and 4/5 seconds, and then 46. So it looks like this actually the second quarter sped up a little bit. So it ran 23 and 4, and then ran 23 flat for that second quarter, and then we got 110 and then 123. So these are just going to be our times: quarter, half, 3/4, and then final time. And then once again, those splits, they're going to vary depending on the distance. Because like you'll see here, like 5.5, like that's not another quarter that's running 13 seconds. 3-year-olds and up. The race rating, so how good they think the other horses in here are. Class rating, how well this horse ran versus the horses in here. The race type. So this is for fillies. That's what the F with the circle is. If you see the square S, that means state bred, which is generally just going to be a notch below, or depending on what state, can be a huge notch below an open company. But that's like, we're getting more into like talking specifically about class. I think once again, if you look in the wiki, there should be another article written there. I think Murphy wrote it. I could be wrong, but just double check the wiki. I think there's an article up there in class. It'll explain class levels a bit better. We have our pace figures, so early 1, early 2, and late pace figures. These here are just kind of a pace variant. So if you see a plus, that means that the pace was, at first call, was a little bit faster. It was a fast-ish pace. Usually, if I see double digits for both of them, then generally in my head I'm like, okay, this first and second call, they were going pretty fast. You would expect the closers to do a little better, but what you'll see here is you'll see all these pluses in this horse just after wiring. Speed figure. So this is the Brisnet speed figure. Once again, I don't really I use the speed figures for Brisnet. They're not as good as Buyers in my opinion, but a little bit about me is I tend to be a pace handicapper first. So I start with pace and I base most of my decisions on how I'm going to wager based on pace. If you talk to Pack Rat, who posted that other video, he's a speed handicapper through and through. You'll see he focuses more on the speed figures. Post position, how the horse broke out at the start in position. So this horse broke out the best in first, led at first call by 4 lengths, led at second call by 2 lengths. In the straight was first again by 4 lengths, finished first by 4 lengths. So this horse just broke out of the gate fast and just wired. You'll see the equipment it used: Lasix, the jockey, Edgar Palcar, he carried 120 pounds. Odds went off at 0.6 to 1, so 3 to 5. And then the top finishers, you'll see the last 3. You'll see these italicized ones. This means the horse won last time out. Usually, if you have a horse here and you see 2 horses that are italicized, it's considered a key race. That's something that you'll probably want to look at to bet back. It usually means that the race came back real strong, and even if that horse didn't do that great, it might have just ran against really good horses. Who knows? And then you have your comment here and how many horses were here. So took a breather on the turn, and he had more. So horse broke out great, took a little bit of a breath, slowed down just a hair, and then just pulled away and won. And then the amount of horses in the race, there were 7 horses in this race. You got workouts here on the bottom. Once again, we have a 5-year-old horse. And a lot of times these horses don't work much. So in this case, these aren't very useful. When it gets to maiden races, maiden claiming races, you can buy workout reports from places like DRF, and they have clockers that go out and watch these workouts. They give you comments, and they can oftentimes be the difference between, hey, I can't pick between any of these horses, and hey, this horse looks great in the morning. This guy really likes the horse, or it's running really well. Hey, maybe I should use it. But that's another thing. I think maybe it was Caleb, once again on the wiki. I'm pretty sure he's got an article out there about betting maiden races. So take a look at that for a little bit more info. But this is just, like I said, quick walkthrough of what everything on the past performance means. Now, just because I tell you, hey, this is what this, and this means, are you going to be able to use it right away? Probably not, but hopefully this will give you a better idea what some of the other videos that we post, or if we take a quick little breakdown of something, or someone tries to walk through something, it makes a little bit more sense for you. I'm going to go ahead and look. So this is a maiden claiming race. I don't really want to look at this. This is not a good race to break down. Maiden race, again, probably won't get much out of looking at this. Claiming race. All right. So I'm just going to go through this kind of quick. If you have any questions, leave something in the comments. Ask me in the Discord, Reddit, whatever. But I'm just going to kind of go through this kind of quick, how I take a quick look at a race, and try to establish what kind of wagers I'm interested in making in the race. So I scroll on to the bottom. Once again, I start here at the quick play comments, or the comments are race summary. No, it's the race summary is what it's called. I'm going to take a look at the pace. E8. So this horse here, and and someone had asked me, I use Foxit Reader. It's got great highlighting tools. I think they're really easy to use. I'm actually going to look. Oh, see, my 3-1, no, I had the 5. Never mind. Yeah, it looks like the 3-1. Oh, see, told you I was wrong. Did my horse finish last? Huh, it'd be funny if I was right. Anyways, I'm just looking up what race am I at. My race 6. I'm just looking here real quick, just so I can see if any horse is scratched. Okay, the 4 horse is scratched. So I like using this because I can do stuff like this. Hey, this 4 horse is scratched. Cross it out. Ooh, now this is more interesting. So the main pace presence is scratched out. So that leaves us with 1 E horse to E5. This is 1 mile on the dirt. Doesn't look like this horse is actually running on the dirt, 1 mile on the dirt, because otherwise it'd have numbers here. But we'll look at this horse's other races and see if this guy is really going to be our true leader. If we look at early pace last race, Zippy Willie is the horse that scratched. My People Sing, 81. The 5 horse, not necessarily all that fast. And if we look here at our par, 78, 72, 75. So it's a pretty even pace. Does look like early horses have been winning this meet. That's what these track bias stats here. I think we kind of skipped over these. But they're pretty self-explanatory. Hey, at the meet, early horses win close to 49% of the races. And they tend to come from 4 through 7. But you can see it's kind of an even distribution here. And then for the week, in case you want to try and spot a weekly bias, which in my opinion, bias is more of a day-to-day thing. Same thing. It's early horses, 4 to 7. So theoretically, this 3 horse here might be a play just based on the bias. Now, if the horse is completely outmatched, we could probably throw it out. But it could be interesting. So let's take a look here. So we're looking at our pars, 78, 72, 75. Any of these, this 7 here fits pretty close. And that's pretty much it. So the 7 is going to be one that we're going to want to look at. And this 3. So I'm just going to highlight this here. And you can see too, right? We're at a par 72. So the 70 here and the 75 should be good enough to win this race. And a lot of these other horses have not even come close to a 70, 68, 67. So I think our 7's probably going to end up going off as our favorite. He has shown some early speed with this 5 here with the speed. And it looks like his pace figures match up with what we're looking at. So let's start there. Why don't we look at these 7's past performances? 7, trained by Tina LaRue. Second start with trainer, she's hitting at about 30%. So that's pretty solid. Looks like last time out, nearly wired, dug in, and just got out finished by whatever horse that is. But ran respectable 70 for this 72. And once again, nice fairly even pace figures here. Pretty close to what would win this race. At Ellis Park, same thing. Maybe a little bit less on the late, but this horse definitely fits. So 72, 70, 75, I'll highlight those just so I know. But my guess is probably my top choice here. Our other speed horse, just I forgot, is a 3. And sorry for my loud mouse here. Oh, so this 4 is scratched, so I will highlight it just so I don't use that. E5 doesn't really have a ton of early speed, even though he says it in E5. That's why, like, even though I see this early speed with a 5, which shows that it's probably gonna gun for the lead. Its past couple races, not really showing that much speed, actually. You have to go back to June 2nd for it to have a race that would win this, and that was at 6 furlongs. Now that it moved to a mile, it's done significantly worse. So actually, I'm not interested in this horse. Um, the one, not competitive at all in speed figures, not even close. Throw it out. The two, could improve a little bit off the maiden win. Um, has a decent trainer, a decent jock, um, and ran his best number at the 1 mile. So he tried shorter and then went to a mile. So the two could be a use. So the two would be probably something that would be borderline A, probably a B horse for me. 5, not interested in because his mile races right here. You see the mile, not really close. His speed figure is closer at 6 furlongs, but he's doesn't seem like a horse that wants to go that long. Same thing here. Looks like he ran his a decent number here at on a sloppy track, and all these are much shorter. You know, he just it doesn't seem like this is the right distance. I think the 7 is the play, and I don't think 8, not competitive, not close, nothing close there. Um, yeah. So my play here would be the 7, based off the speed figures that are competitive, and the pace figures seem to fit in with what this race needs. This horse is, I think, faster than the other speed horse. It's probably going to come out, grab the lead, and hopefully wire. So that's just a quick breakdown of reading a Brisnet past performance, kind of how I look at them and use them. You have any questions, toss them in the comments. Message me on Discord, hit me up on Twitter, what have you. And hopefully we'll have some more content for you guys. And like I said, if you guys want to see any videos, let us know. There's a group of us that are just like either talking about horse racing or like teaching you people. So, yeah, just ask away. Thanks, guys.